Hi, I'm Sadie Jones, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my classroom management philosophy. So, I identify most as a medium low control teacher. I believe it's important that teachers and students share control in the classroom, especially in matters of discipline and decision making. I really want my students to feel a connection to their fellow students and to me as their teacher and feel that sense of belonging. A lot of my ideas for classroom management really connect with Rudolf Dreikers' um, theory of logical consequences, and especially his belief that students are motivated by a desire to belong and feel recognized and connected to the classroom socially. I also really identify with Barbara Coloroso's interdiscipline theory that students are empowered through their ability to make their own decisions and take control in their own lives. So with that, my roles as a teacher would be simply to guide and facilitate and structure and organize so that I can provide my students the opportunities to make decisions for themselves. And as my students would have the opportunity to, and the main responsibility, to control their own behavior and make decisions. And they can do that through participating in problem solving and classroom meetings, and also contributing in meaningful ways through student jobs. I want my classroom to be a democratic classroom that teaches my students the skills necessary for them to function in the greater society. And I think a lot of the ways that is going to be accomplished in my classroom comes from Jane Nelson Lindlots and Stephen Glenn's idea of holding regular classroom and morning meetings. I think these morning meetings and classroom meetings will be a great way to address misbehavior and allow students to use their voices and make decisions as a class, along with building that democratic classroom community. It'll be my role as a teacher to teach civility and the importance of contributing to the class. And I think a lot of that will be through me teaching the why behind certain procedures and rules so that they understand the importance of it and so that they can see how they can contribute in a really meaningful way to help build our classroom culture. For motivation in my classroom, a lot of the ways I will choose to motivate my class will come from my connection to Barbara Coloroso's interdiscipline, along with students being able to discipline themselves. I want them to feel motivated themselves. So I want to do my best to make sure that they are intrinsically motivated rather than offering them a lot of extrinsic motivations, which I think will serve them better in the long run as they become lifelong learners. So some ways that I would like to help motivate my students are offering choices, because this can help them feel like the activities we do in class are something that they chose and not something that they are forced to do or have to do. And it can help them feel empowered through their choices. They will feel more confident and that they have control in their lives. Another way is to give students instructive and helpful feedback often. By giving encouraging criticism and positive responses to students' efforts, it will build their confidence and help them feel more ready to take on challenges and more motivated to learn. Another way is to connect as much as I can to their own personal interests and the things that they find exciting in life. And when I do this, it will help make learning fun, which is always more motivating. And lastly, another way I will motivate my students is to show how what we learn in class applies to their lives outside the classroom. I think that this gets them really excited to learn new skills when they know that they can use it in their lives and outside of the classroom. And it definitely encourages lifelong learning. So in the way of rules and procedures, my classroom will have about 4 main rules. One is to be safe, the next is be responsible, and then we also have be respectful and obey all school rules, the rules that are outside of my classroom, like on the playground and in other classrooms in the hallways and all that. I think that students will have a role in developing these rules through classroom meetings at the beginning of the year. I might have these basic outlines provided, or I might guide them to come up with these 4 rules on their own. I would like to ask my students what they think is important to have as a class rule, and through their ideas, fit them into some of these general basic rules, which helps them see like more of what it looks like in a classroom setting and how they understand it, and it also helps me see maybe what needs to be addressed and what they already have, what understandings of classrooms they already have brought with them. As far as positive and negative consequences, for positive consequences, I really follow Barbara Colarosa's idea that it should be an inner discipline, and so I want my rewards to be intrinsic as well. I think that the main reward for following rules and procedures in my classroom should be the ability to learn in a safe, positive environment. But also there are other ways to motivate good behavior and reward good behavior, such as verbal praise, giving more time in desired activities, and even calling parents home and like telling them how awesome their students are and what good things they're doing in the classroom. For negative consequences, I really believe in Rudolf Streicher's idea of logical consequences. Like if you break it, you fix it. Loss of privileges should be privileges that are tied to the misbehavior, so that students can understand just the natural consequences of what can happen when classroom rules are broken. For prevention, in class we talked a lot about how the best defense against misbehavior is good prevention management and strategies. So along with that, there's like building really strong relationships with your students. Some ways I plan on doing that are, of course, learning my students' name and calling them by name and getting to know them, also having a sense of humor and being humble, and then also providing clear procedures can really reduce the chances for misbehavior in your classroom, especially with transitions. So, for example, lining up is a pretty common transition you have going to different activities in the classroom, and so a procedure I might have for that would be I would provide my students these clear steps, which are to stand up quietly, push in your chair, walk carefully to your line, face the front of the line, and watch where you're going. I think providing looks like, sound like charts for your students is really helpful, but I think it's even more helpful if they come up with those themselves. That way they really understand what the procedure looks like, which will help prevent misbehaviors. My responses for intervention also revolve a lot around the interdiscipline. I really want to give my students as many opportunities as possible to make the decision to control their own behavior before I really step in and have to draw attention to the misbehaviors that are occurring. For example, a lot of what I've chosen to address these misbehaviors are situational assistance to mild responses. There's only a few moderate responses. For example, if a student has a hard time getting ready to work, I might use proximity, and me staying by the student until they realize that it's time for them to get to work really offers them the chance to decide for themselves that they are going to fix their behavior and get to work. This is a picture of my classroom map. There was a quote in the textbook that I really liked when it was talking about William Glasser's theory. It says, teachers must create the conditions in which students feel a sense of belonging, have some power and control, and have freedom in learning and school process, and have fun. And I think a lot of that begins with the physical structure of your classroom. A successful learning environment begins with the classroom organization and layout. So I really like this setup with the W because it really makes the class feel like a group while allowing students who need more help to be closer to the front, while students who can work more independently be in the back. I also have I have 3 tables here for group work and for students who need more assistance. This table over here will also double as my teacher's desk. And with me being so close to the front of the classroom and the students' desks themselves, they really feel my presence and my support throughout the whole learning process. And I can really also see what all the students are doing. I also want to have lots of space in my classroom that allows for easy transitions and movement that will just allow my classroom to be more fun. And then, of course, in the back, I have my management philosophy paper and classroom narrative and all that good stuff. Thanks.